Well, now we're part way through the final day of 2020 in these markets here today on this Thursday. A reminder to be sure and join me this evening for the evening edition of Commodity Wrap coming up on Rural Radio, channel 147 on Sirius XM. I hope you'll be sure and join us as we kind of wrap up today's activity. And then you'll want to be sure and tune in tomorrow also for the in place of the Commodity Wrap. We're going to have a very special. Marlon Bowling had the opportunity to have a sit down and a nice interview with Orion Samuelson. And so you won't want to miss that. That's all on Rural Radio, channel 147 on Sirius XM. Our futures are provided by Bar Chart, and December corn is up 5 1/4 at 4.79 3/4. The new crop December now is a penny higher at 4.34. January soybeans up 13 cents at 13.16 3/4. We have backed off a little bit. We got as high as 13.20 3/4 on the March contract, but we're still up 12 1/4 cents. Over in the wheat market, Chicago March wheat down 3 at 6.37 3/4. March Kansas City wheat down 2.5 cents at 5.98 3/4. Minneapolis wheat is down 2 at 5.94 1/4. And March cotton is down 19 at 77.78. Well, one of the guests that I had this morning on Rural Radio, channel 147, was Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri Marketing, and he joins us again here. Now, you and I talked about these weekly export sales coming up here that we had overnight, and I do want to look at those because we were almost at 1 million metric ton for corn. In fact, we fell just short by less than 50,000 metric ton. 964,500 metric ton for the corn. Soybeans at 1.01 million. Soybean meal came in at 76,200. Soybean oil at 60,700. Wheat was 520,600. And sorghum, 97,300. Upland cotton, 303,000 running bales. And rice at 47,100 metric ton. Let's turn our attention now to the phone, and Brian Hoops joins us. Brian, your response to these overnight sales?
Hey, John, good morning. I thought they were pretty decent. You know, all things considered, a Christmas shortened week, these were above expectations for the most part, especially for soybeans. And in the new crop sales category, some very strong numbers there. But corn, soybeans, wheat, all I thought were decent and have added to some of the strength in corn and soybeans, along with some technical buying, some concerns about South American weather. We continue to hear more farmers or more producers making some cash sales, especially in corn, and then turning around and re-owning. And I think that is giving us some strength as well as that buying of the futures back. It has kind of kept the trend moving higher.
What is your advice here for producers? You just talked about locking in, selling the actual grain itself, and then re-owning it. So what about these producers that are still making some of these planting decisions? Because it's obvious that these markets are trying to buy some acres.
Right, and you know, we're only basically January 1. We have to go into, you know, early March and April before we really start to see much in the way of a competition for those acres. That last ditch bid for acres could give us even higher prices yet. But you know, there's some attractive prices out there. November beans over the $11 mark, but you know, corn sitting around 4.30 or so on the December futures, probably going to have to continue to move higher slowly into the spring time frame. And that also means that spring wheat will compete with acres. Cotton should have some strength competing for these acres. And then also winter wheat contracts can't be left in the dust, or we'll have winter wheat acres being torn up this spring and planted to something else.
Okay. Well, Brian, stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment. More is coming up right here on the Market Day Report. First stop is the December live cattle market over here on the December contract anyway. We traded cattle this week, and now we've got December 113.05. We're up 92, February up 35 in the feeder cattle market. Our front month is still, for all intents and purposes, January, 139.15. That is up 62, but our next front month will be March. It's up 55 at 140.30. Got a little bit more volume there, but a big move in the hogs today. 250 higher now on the February, 70.10. April up 162 at 72.70. And May, is $77. You go all the way out to July, those summer hogs are at $83.15. That's up 85. This is kind of a big deal. And Brian, on top of that, we had weekly export sales numbers that showed 54,000 metric ton for pork, but a marketing year high for 29,300 for beef. Your thoughts?
Yeah, John, I think that's what's driving this hog market higher here. This is a very strong export number of pork. We had okay sales, but the exports are really good. And beef exports, a marking year high, like you mentioned, that's a really good number. I think the futures, could be even higher than what they are off of this news. But nothing wrong with the beef sales whatsoever. Pork was a good number, and that's really given us a reason for some short covering in that hog market today.
All right, so it makes you wonder, too, what we're going to see here in our midday report for box beef. But even further, if you take this February live cattle contract at $114.77, now $114.80, makes you wonder what we could see in January for cash cattle.
Yeah, I think the trade wants to anticipate a little bit stronger money after trade a week ago was a couple dollars higher. This week's trade about $1 higher on a live basis. Trade is, kind of thinking we're going to see strength again next week when we get back to full kill schedules, full kill weeks. And if we have any type of weather next week, we could even see some more premium being put in because of snow and ice across some of the feedlot conditions. That's
a very good point. Well, Brian, thank you very much. Happy New Year. Tammy, back to you, ma'am.